So we're here to tell you guys that we all think that free speech is the cornerstone for the destruction of a society.
It ushers in fascism.
Because you can tell all kinds of lies.
It's the dream
Unchecked.
of every dictator.
That doesn't make sense.
Let me name you every dictator that has allowed free speech. There is none.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Lions Awaken, where we have a very healthy discussion of controversial issues going on in our society. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you guys for watching our videos. Subscribe to our YouTube channel if you have not. Share this video. Follow us on social media, on Facebook, on Instagram. We're also on Getter. And today's episode, we're going to talk about free speech, the importance of free speech. This comes from Elon Musk, supposedly the richest man in the world.
Behind Vladimir Putin.
Which, Musk, in Musk's own words, says Putin is more rich than him, right?
Yep.
Musk just took over Twitter. He bought Twitter for $44 billion. Is that correct?
Yep.
And his plan is to take it private, right?
Yes,
Yep.
sir.
And his goal is to
take the ownership private, yeah.
to take the ownership private. But his goal is to promote free speech, to have a platform that is trusted, that's transparent, and that he likes free speech, because he said, quote, "Free speech is the bedrock of a functioning democracy, and Twitter is the digital town square where matters vital to the future of humanity are debated. I also want to make Twitter better than ever by enhancing the product with new features, making the algorithms open source to increase trust, defeating the spam bots, and authenticating all humans. Twitter has tremendous potential. I look forward to working with the company and the community users to unlock it," unquote. So, what do you guys think about this? You think this is a good move? Think this is a bad move?
This is a great move. I think it's a great move. I mean, we've seen Twitter censoring voices they don't like. They become political. Twitter's become political. It's become a machine basically used for the left, for the Democrats, to censor narratives, to censor voices that really are speaking truth and going against their evil plans, which is to control people's thoughts, control their speech. So I think this is a great move because he's bringing it back to the Constitution with freedom of speech, allowing people to freely voice their opinions without censorship. At least that's what he's claiming he's going to do.
Right. We haven't seen
seen it yet, but unless he doesn't do that, then, I mean,
you can trust him.
We can trust him because, I mean, he's been speaking out against the establishment for a while now because he's all about innovation and beating bad ideas with good ideas. And you can't do that when your speech or your thoughts are controlled. So
yeah, in order to create things, you need free speech.
Yeah.
You create things with speaking, like God created the world through speech.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts, Daniel?
I love what Elon Musk said when he said, "I hope even my worst critics remain in Twitter because that's what free speech is about."
Yeah.
You gotta have a space for bad idea. Like like with in school, like teachers there's no such thing as a stupid question, right? Like that whole argument. I mean, there is stupid questions out there, but you got to allow that so people can like.
What is a woman?
Yeah, exactly. So people can learn, people can look at it and be like, no, that's not right. This is right. You know what I mean? Like you need to have that marketplace of ideas, whether it's controversial, whether it's offensive to other people. So you need that space for people to say whatever they want.
Yeah, and the problem
Within reason. But yeah.
The problem with somebody determining what is true or not is that person becomes automatically the policeman of truth.
Yeah.
And what can people think and what they are not allowed to think. And that's really dangerous.
I love what Dennis Prager says when he says, "I'm a Jew, but I want someone to be able to say, I hate all Jews," because that's free speech.
Yeah.
He's like, that doesn't make it right. I hope people call you out on it. It makes you a bad person, but you should still be able to say it.
Yeah. Now, if he were to say, I think I'm going to kill all Jews, or I want to kill this Jew or something like that, or like threaten someone, then that's different. And that's not what we're talking about, just to be clear for our audience. Like, we're not talking about allowing people to say things that threaten another person's life or whatever. Like, that's not within the realm of free speech. We're just talking about views, like Matthew just said, that are just offensive. Like, that should be allowed. And I think Elon's going to let that happen in Twitter.
But explain a little bit that, because where are the lines between, Trump was canceled from Twitter because he was inciting violence. Mm-hmm. So who dictates?
But was he
what is
inciting violence?
That's what I mean.
He was.
But somebody controls that. So if you would own Twitter, what is your line that you draw?
Well, the line would be, it sounds like Elon is a man of reason and a man of
he's a man of logic.
Of logic. Every logical person, reasonable person that saw Donald Trump, his tweets, heard his speech on January 6th, knows that he did not incite violence whatsoever. His words were twisted and used against him so that they could justify, and I say they, I'm saying Twitter and the Democrats and the media establishment, so they can use that against him to silence him. Elon, everyone who saw that, who's not brainwashed by the media, knows that that was a power move, a fascist move, to silence a political opponent because they didn't like what he stood
by
for.
The left.
Exactly. And so what I'm saying is, yes, there is like a relevancy, I guess, to what is actual threats or what is actual incitement of violence, but there is objective truth too. Like, you got to look at it and be like, did he actually say that or did he not? And clearly he did not, because there's no evidence of it. What's the evidence?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and something also that Elon Musk said is that he wants both extremes to be angry. He said there's a left extreme and there's a right-wing extreme, and I want both of them to be angry with me, because when both of them are angry at me, then that means I'm doing the right thing. I am banning the right people. And he also said, when in doubt, let the tweet remain. Let the tweet exist. Yep. So what he's saying is, if it takes you to controversy, if the tweet, you don't know if it's violence or not, and you're not 100% sure, then you shouldn't ban it or block it, because you should only block and ban what it's clearly calling to violence or doing something illegal, or what is clear that needs to be banned. If it's not clear, then you don't ban it.
So what is the main motive for the left going wild over this, over Elon Musk taking over Twitter?
Well, do you want to take that?
Well, I think it's because, as I said previously, I think Elon Musk is not going to go right-wing with Twitter. It's not like Twitter is going to be now the right-wing organization or platform for spreading right-wing ideas. I don't think that's going to happen.
Even though the left is going to accuse him of doing that.
Yeah, but I think Twitter already is tilting to the left. So what Elon Musk is going to correct that, probably, or according to what he's saying, and he's going to put it to the center. And then the ones that were benefiting from Twitter tilting to the left, those are the ones who are going to scream and say, hey, what are you doing? Why are you doing this?
I think with Elon having Twitter, the voices that the left tried to silence and have been silencing, like Tucker Carlson, like the Babylon Bee most recent.
And Charlie Kirk.
Turning
Point USA. They were a big one.
Exactly.
And Donald Trump.
And Donald Trump. I mean, they've been slowly taking ground and taking away big conservative voices that spoke truth into their lies. And now, since, it'll be open to them again, that power, the left's power on the narrative is gone now. Mm-hmm. So I think that's why they're going berserk, is because they don't have power over the narrative anymore.
Because they know that when facts and logical arguments are presented,
people
to challenge them, their logical thinking and weight, it holds no weight on this whole transgender thing, everything they've been trying to give to the public. So they're scared of truth.
And when most people have options of points of views and they see the more rational one, they're going to lean, I'm talking generally, they're going to lean more to the rational one, because generally speaking, it makes sense. And so right now you've seen, or for the past however many years, especially the past 5 or 6 years, Twitter has been censoring this other point of view, and the public has only been seeing this. It's the same thing with the mainstream media. The public only sees this point of view, and so that's why they're brainwashed to thinking this is the right way. And this way that's censored, it must be so horrible and so racist or misogynistic or homophobic or whatever it may be that they can't even look at it. You know what I mean? But now that Elon's...
And do you guys think that this is gonna actually affect other platforms, like other social media platforms too?
I hope so.
Because I believe that with Elon Musk taking over Twitter and now like changing all the rules of the game, probably that's gonna affect other platforms and other social media, like their rules, because people are gonna like just move to Twitter in case they are banned or they are. So it's gonna be a safe haven for all the ideas, basically, because you're gonna have less bans and less restrictions in your thoughts, and then that might create somewhat of a challenging ground for all the other social media platforms. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just so funny how, like, that's what America is, right? That's what makes America so great, is that when there's a problem outside of the government, or even in the government for that matter, the people rise up with a solution. And in this case, it was Elon Musk, who was the richest man in the world, came to our aid. But I think this was a move by God. Like, I heard, a lot of conservatives even say, I don't trust Elon Musk. Like, he was for the vaccine and, with this AI stuff, I don't trust him. And it's like, what else do you want to happen with Twitter then? It's already going down to hell.
Yeah.
Like, we don't even have free speech on Twitter anymore. So what's your solution? Here's a guy that's all about free speech. Yes, he might be for the vaccine, but he's okay with engaging conversation with those that oppose his view.
Yeah.
That's the whole point. Free speech is about talk with somebody that you disagree with. And unlike the left, we're all about listening to the other side's arguments. Whereas the left doesn't even like to hear the other side.
Yeah.
And that's what free speech is all about. And that's what makes America so great, is that the power is in the people. And so when there is a problem with something in the country like free speech, we've seen all kinds of platforms raise up, like Rumble, you had True Social with Trump, you had Gab and all these other platforms. And, Christians and conservatives have been praying for a long time for things to change here. And here comes Elon Musk now on our side and maybe solving the free speech problem.
Yeah.
And I just think that's awesome.
Yeah. I mean,
I think we're winning this game here.
I agree 100%. I think it boils down to this: freedom and control. Who's on the side of freedom? Who's on the side of control? Elon Musk is clearly on the side of freedom. Donald Trump is clearly on the side of freedom. These guys, they may be for the vaccine, but are they for mandates? No. All these Democrats and leftist people, they're all for mandates on the vaccine. I know we're not talking about the vaccine, but we cannot major on the minors with people's preferences or people's thoughts on certain topics. Like, we can't major on those minors. If he's for free speech, that's good enough for me when it comes to Twitter.
Right.
Like, we're not talking about science here or the vaccines or anything like that. We're talking about Twitter and a platform. Like, if he's for free speech, then he's good enough for me to be the owner of Twitter. Like, that's a plus. That is a blessing for the conservative movement, for Christians, and for people who love freedom.
Yeah, I believe that it's not even a matter of what the government can do or whatnot, because I think it's a private company, so they can ban or, like, they have their own rules, basically, because they are a private company. But at the same time, they are on American ground, and America is based on free speech. And it's unethical for them to do what they are doing, to ban Donald Trump because he incites violence, and then keep the Taliban head because he's a saint. Or, you know what I'm saying? It's just, it makes no sense. There's no logic behind it. There's just an agenda, and you can see it clearly. Therefore, I believe it's really good that this is happening and that Twitter is getting into free speech again, because that's what America is based on, and that's what actually I believe Twitter was based
That's the foundation
on.
of
That's the
Twitter.
foundation of Twitter. So
I mean, Twitter basically forms public opinion. Like everybody goes on Twitter, shares their thoughts,
Yeah.
right? You have government
That's the
accounts
point
on
of it.
there. Trump, like, that was his main way of communicating with we the people, was through Twitter. And but what I love about back to the Twitter and the Americans is like, you know, you had a problem with free speech being taken away from one platform. Trump was like, okay, I'll build my own platform.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, that's what a free country is all about, is you can step up and do something. That's what competition's all about. That's what capitalism is about.
Yep.
Socialism, you can't do that. You're a slave to whatever the people tell you to do.
The government.
Like in a socialist country, Elon Musk couldn't do this. The government would own Twitter and they couldn't do anything about it.
So what do you think, how this Twitter thing ties with the First Amendment? Like, do you think this has to do with First Amendment rights and like how Twitter manages itself as a company? Do you think Twitter should be bound by the First Amendment?
Well, I think you kind of answered that when you're talking about it, the ethics behind Twitter. I mean, they claim to be a free speech platform for the public's space. So, I mean, yeah, if you're that in America and you're following the laws of America, it says that you have freedom of speech. And so, ethically speaking, yeah, that they should uphold that. They should allow that because it's just the right thing to do. It's the moral thing to do. It's the right thing. So
I mean, if you look at their foundation, I'm sure like in their, you know, every company has like an ethical standard, right? So I'm sure in their ethics it was like promote and secure
The
free
First
speech.
Amendment, yeah.
Like I don't know. I'm just assuming. But again, if the government is not involved in it, it's a privately owned company. I think he has every right to do whatever he wants. But in America, there's a danger of doing that because then you'll have somebody else that'll create a company that'll just make you bankrupt.
yeah,
exactly,
That's what makes America great. You have freedom to do that.
Yeah, basically, legally they're not bound, but morally and ethically they are bound, and the people will ensure that they are bound to that.
Legally, they might have in their contracts that they have to uphold the First Amendment or whatever. I don't know. I don't know what the whole contracts.
Yeah, what did you read about that, Daniel? Because you were doing some research.
Well,
on that.
I was researching and I got into section 230, which is a law of the Communication Decency Act of 1996.
That's a Congress law.
That's a Congress law, yeah. And it says that no provider or user of an interactive computer service shall be treated as the publisher or speaker of any information provided by another information content provider. So, in basic words, that means that Twitter is not bound legally by anything posted on Twitter. So, because they are the service provider, any content provider inside the service, they're not responsible or liable for. So, you could basically say anything illegal that you want on Twitter, and you cannot sue Twitter.
Right.
The person that said it, they could be responsible.
They're responsible.
And then there's another part of the law that says that basically you can ban anything. It says, no provider or user of an interactive computer service shall be held liable on account of any action voluntarily taken in good faith to restrict access to or availability of material that the provider or user considers to be obscene, lewd, lascivious, filthy, excessively violent, harassing, or otherwise objectionable. So it means literally that Twitter, in good faith, can block any content that Twitter considers filthy, lascivious, harassing, or otherwise objectionable.
They can.
They can ban it. They are allowed.
Okay.
So that's a problem. They can ban, according to this law, they can ban any content that they believe is objectionable. And since they think the objections to the vaccines or Trump's allegations of the voter fraud, those things are objectionable, they have been banning them.
Or even anti-transgender views or anti-homosexual views, like all that stuff as well.
Yeah, so that's the debate.
Yeah.
That's the debate that there is about, like, should this law and this provision be changed? Because if it's changed, then the whole internet could change completely. You know what I'm saying?
What do you mean?
Well, I mean that if
Like,
you
if I own the company, I don't need a law to tell me I should be able to do what I want with it.
well, you don't.
That's
But
the debate with the digital bill of rights. That's the debate within that. If there should be a digital bill of rights that says that they're the opposite of that. It said that there should be a standard across companies, let's say, that they can't break, or across the internet that they can't break or they can't.
I'm not sure if I like that.
exactly.
That's the debate, I guess.
That's the debate.
Yeah.
That's the debate.
Yeah.
Because the thing is that if you say you as a company, you are liable for everything a content provider, meaning anybody, says on your platform, then they could have to check every tweet,
yeah.
every Facebook post, every Instagram story or picture. It has to be checked, so you are not liable for whatever they are. You can make sure that it's nothing illegal. And then,
Well, that I like that.
well, but that could mean almost every
I don't like it.
social media could be out of service, or web page. Because just imagine,
They shouldn't allow child pornography on their platform. They shouldn't allow people cutting heads off on their platform.
that's true.
They shouldn't allow
I
that
agree.
stuff.
But there could be another way. That's it. That's what people are saying. Is there another way to do it without the company being liable? Or maybe some say they cannot be liable unless they know that it's taking place. Whenever they gain knowledge that those things are taking place, they have to shut it down, that account or that content.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of like debate about it. I don't know what are your thoughts on how can the problem be solved of.
Well, I mean, I don't think you should have pornography, period, on anything. Like,
Yeah, that
think,
should be-
I mean, I think that should be,
But
that
then-
harms a society. Like,
But even that, like that could fall into a digital bill of rights.
okay.
That could fall into that.
Yeah.
Like having
You're
something
talking about, like,
standard
you're
on
talking
the
about-
internet,
Yeah.
platforms, whatever it may be, websites, where
That's true.
it literally restricts certain content.
Like the basic objective truth.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
basically. Okay.
exactly.
Murder. Like, basically
Yeah. Basically everything on the dark web.
right. Don't put on
Don't
the
put on
regular-
but that, like, pornography, like, that's not on the dark web. You can just
I know.
Google that wherever. It's
so
like
accessible.
it's so accessible. So, but yeah, if there is a bill of rights that was objective, and not broad, it was specific as well. Because again, that's why we're in this debate right now, is because these laws or these policies or standards of Twitter, they're so broad. Oh, you can't have hateful speech or hateful content. What is that? Who defines that? They're defining that.
Yep.
That's why we're in this debate, is because all these laws or policies are so broad. Why can't we just go back and make things specific to where it's objective truth?
But who do you
Cultural shift.
think should do the digital bill of rights? The Congress?
I don't know.
I mean, I'm just saying, who do you?
Righteous people need to do it.
Yeah, that's.
Like the founding
I
fathers.
mean, it has to come. It has to come from Congress. Congress is the only one that can make law.
Yeah. We need a new founding fathers. We need some new founding fathers in that respect.
It's not the rich people that are a problem.
Yeah.
It's the bad rich.
It's the bad, exactly.
Because look at Trump.
Yeah.
He's using his money to build a true social media platform. He used his money to serve his country for 4 years and sacrificed a lot
yeah.
because he had a lot of money. You have Elon Musk, who has billions of dollars, which gave him the advantage of taking over Twitter. So it's not about how much money you have. It's not about all these other factors. It's about doing it for good or
Exactly.
evil. It comes back to your motive. What do you do it for?
Look at Bill Gates. He's a great guy.
Great guy. Oh, great guy. Like, he'll be a groomsman at my wedding. Yeah, me too. I love the dude. Yeah.
He's
I
done
trust
so
him with
much,
everything.
so much good in this world with his billions
The
of dollars.
guy I've really looked up to lately is Klaus Schwab.
Yes, that's right.
Where he said you will own nothing and be happy.
My hero is George Soros.
No! God, please, no! No!
He is like a grandfather figure to me.
I was gonna say something serious.
We just said something serious.
So, I believe it's like Trump. You said it, but in the sense of many people disliked Trump so much, and even conservative people, when he first came into office. But then when they saw the results, they were convinced, not by his speech, because his speech was rough and many times rude, but by his results and by his policy making. And I think the same could happen with Elon Musk, because I know many people say, oh, Elon Musk have ultra motives. He has other motives. It's not just free speech. And that's probably true. He might have other purposes. I mean, he's a businessman. He's thinking business-wise.
But he also said on that TED Talk, he's like, I don't care about economic stuff about Twitter. Like, he literally said that.
I know.
That's what he said.
I know, but he's still he's not gonna do a bad investment. He's not gonna do an investment that he thinks is gonna go to the ground. I know he's buying Twitter because he sees potential in the company and he thinks it can go to the sky. And
Literally.
yeah, and it's a bird.
Economics is not his main priority.
Yeah, but in my respect, you could be surprised when you see the results that he offers by just improving the platform. And I'm just not even talking about free speech, but I'm talking about many other stuff like the bots and well,
The bots.
other like the bots he wants to go against.
He wants to eliminate them or whatever.
Yeah, he wants to like double check. I don't know how you say that.
He wants to make transparent if there's any changes made from like the bots or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. And then you're gonna have an improvement on the platform as a whole.
Right,
And
which will add more users. But isn't it interesting that if free speech was his main goal, that he thought free speech was worth $44 billion?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Free speech is that important. He literally said free speech is the future of civilization.
Yeah.
Because without free speech, you don't have freedom.
Exactly.
You don't have freedom of thought. You don't have new ideas. You don't have advancement of civilization. You don't.
Yeah.
Every deed, every company that was formed, these microphones started with a thought. I was created with a thought from God.
Exactly.
Same with you,
Expression.
same with anybody. Like everything starts with a thought and then you speak it. Like we communicate through speech. We're not just robots. Robots are programmed. Like we're not programmed. And so that's why free speech is,
So
I
important.
think free speech is easily worth $44 billion.
It is. It is. And I think for the founders and for all of them,
It's
it
a
was
small
worth
price.
a lot of blood and wars and sadness and suffering and sorrows. So if it was worth that much for them, we better value it
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah. Well, comment below and tell us what you guys think about this Elon Musk takeover of Twitter, what your thoughts are, if it's going to be good, if it's bad. How important is free speech to you? How important is it to society, to democracy, to civilization? What are your thoughts on Elon Musk? He's a very interesting guy, controversial. Let us know. Thank you guys for watching so much. We appreciate your support, but I think this will wrap it up for today. Any final thoughts you guys have to share?
Well, I just want to say that I really think Elon Musk is the Antichrist.
Yeah. I was about to say the same.
That's it.
But until he reveals his horns, I'm still going to support him.
Just say no. We have a lot of sarcastic humor on this show. So
No, what are you talking about? This is my
don't take
true belief.
everything we say for serious.
We just have truth in this show.
All right. Thank you guys for watching so much. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel again. Share this video, and God bless you. Keep roaring the truth. Do not be afraid. Do not be intimidated by the enemy. Be who God has called you to be and do what God has called you to do. See you next time.